The industry is currently in a state of shock because the reality behind Kanye West's alleged health spiral and his toxic business empire has finally been exposed through a mountain of legal receipts. For years, the public has written off Kanye's behavior as part of his eccentric artistic genius, but the lawsuits filed throughout 2024 and 2025 tell a much more disturbing story of addiction, harassment, and a workplace culture that some employees described as a literal nightmare. Today, we are looking past the social media outbursts to examine the sworn affidavits and court filings that reveal a side of the Yeezy brand the world was never supposed to see. We are answering 3 critical questions today. First, what is the truth behind the allegations that Kanye was addicted to nitrous oxide supplied by his own dentist? Second, how did his business culture devolve into an environment where employees were allegedly sent texts saying, "Welcome to the first day of working for Hitler"? And third, what are the specific details of the drugging and sexual assault allegations made by his former assistant regarding a studio session with Diddy? We have analyzed the court documents from Los Angeles and New York to give you the reality that was hidden behind the Yeezy curtain. This investigation covers everything from medical malpractice claims to workplace abuse, providing a timeline that proves this wasn't just a mental health episode, but a systemic collapse of a billionaire's inner circle. Before we get to the most shocking claims about his health, we have to look at the legal firestorm that began with his former assistant, Lauren Pisciotta. The expectation for many fans was that Pisciotta was simply a disgruntled employee seeking a payday, but the reality of her 86-page amended lawsuit filed in October 2024 is far more chilling. According to the filing in Los Angeles Superior Court, Pisciotta alleged that she was drugged and sexually assaulted by Kanye during a studio session in Santa Monica. This session was reportedly co-hosted by Sean Diddy Combs, though the lawsuit does not accuse Combs of any direct wrongdoing. The receipt here is a series of alleged text messages and the detailed testimony of the night in question. Pisciotta claims that after taking only a few sips of a drink that she believed was laced with an unidentified drug, she fell into an altered state and has no memory of the rest of the night. The shock value increased when the lawsuit alleged that years later, Kanye brought up the night and admitted they had hooked up, laughing when she said she couldn't remember it. Per the court documents, Kanye allegedly told her that women love to say they don't remember. This lawsuit didn't just stop at one incident, it detailed a pattern of sexual harassment and the sharing of explicit photos within the Yeezy workplace. This is our first major reality check because it connects the chaotic culture of Yeezy to the wider legal scandals currently rocking the music industry. The payout here is the answer to how these environments are maintained. According to the filing, employees felt they had to comply or be blacklisted from the industry entirely. This power dynamic is a recurring theme in every lawsuit we've analyzed, showing that his fame was used as a weapon to ensure silence from those who witnessed the internal chaos. As we reach the 3-minute mark of this story, we have to address the most shocking and terrifying part of the Kanye West saga, the nitrous oxide allegations. The expectation was that Kanye was simply having another mental health episode, but the reality presented in a sworn legal affidavit by his former chief of staff, Milo Yiannopoulos, in August 2024, points to a chemical intervention. According to the affidavit submitted to the California Dental Board, Kanye was allegedly being supplied with massive quantities of nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas, for recreational use by his celebrity dentist, Dr. Thomas Connolly. The receipt for this claim is a series of alleged text messages between the dentist and Kanye. In one exchange from April 2024, the dentist allegedly wrote that his long-term goal was to get recreational nitrous legalized and that they were mastering the delivery system with a 2-year head start. Kanye's alleged response was a simple request asking if he could have more gas that day. The shock value here is the physical and neurological toll this reportedly took on the artist. Per the notice of intent to sue filed by Kanye's own legal team in May 2025, the rapper claimed that the excessive use of the gas caused him lasting neurological damage and psychological trauma. This turns the narrative of a genius losing his mind into a narrative of a vulnerable individual being exploited by a medical professional for profit. According to the filings, the dentist was allegedly allegedly charging Kanye more than $50,000 a month for these services. This is a terrifying expert lens into how a billionaire can be isolated and controlled through substance dependency. The payout here is the realization that many of the erratic business decisions and incoherent rants of 2024 and 2025 might have been fueled by a constant state of sedation. Legal experts point out that if these claims are proven in a court of law, it would represent one of the most significant cases of medical exploitation in Hollywood history, rivaling the tragedies of other superstars who were overprescribed by their inner circle. Now we move into the reality of the Yeezy workplace culture, which a 2025 lawsuit describes as a campaign of psychological torment. The expectation was that working for a billionaire mogul would be a career-defining opportunity, but for a marketing specialist identified as Jane Doe, the reality was a barrage of hate speech. According to the lawsuit filed in February 2025, Kanye allegedly referred to himself as a Nazi and told his Jewish employees, "Welcome to the first day of working for Hitler." The receipt here is another mountain of text messages submitted as evidence. In one text from June 2024, Kanye reportedly told a group of employees that he was a Nazi. The lawsuit also alleges that Kanye would send explicit photos to staff members and demand they work on a project called Yeezy porn, despite their professional and personal objections. The shock here is that this wasn't just isolated talk, it was a daily reality for the people trying to keep his business afloat. Per the legal ruling in September 2025, a judge actually ordered Kanye to pay over $76,000 in legal fees to a former staffer because his attempt to throw out her lawsuit was deemed frivolous. The judge noted that Kanye's legal defense, which argued that his behavior was part of a continuous performance piece, was totally lacking in foundation. This is a huge payout because it shows that the courts are no longer accepting the "it's just art" excuse for workplace harassment. This sets a precedent for every other lawsuit currently active against him, suggesting that his legal shield of artistic expression is finally crumbling under the weight of employment law. The next point of reality involves the dark history of the Donda Academy and the claims made by former employee Trevor Phillips. The expectation was that Kanye was building a revolutionary Christian school for the next generation, but the reality presented in Phillips's lawsuit in 2024 sounds like a dystopian movie. According to the filing, Kanye allegedly told 2 students that he wanted to shave their heads and build a jail at the school where they could be locked in cages. The receipt here is the testimony of staff members who reportedly had to escort the children away from Kanye during these rants. Phillips also alleged that Kanye expressed a desire to target the gay community after dealing with his other perceived enemies. Per the lawsuit, Kanye allegedly texted that he was on some complete Hitler-level stuff, minus the gas chambers. This paints a picture of a man who was not just controversial, but was actively creating an environment of fear for children and staff alike. The shock value is the contrast between the wholesome image of a Christian school and the alleged reality of a leader praising a dictator during staff meetings. This is a critical takeaway because it explains why the school was ultimately forced to shut down and why parents began pulling their children out in droves. By the time the school officially closed its doors in 2025, the legal liabilities had become too great for even a billionaire to ignore. The reality of Donda Academy wasn't education, it was an experiment in absolute control that failed the very children it promised. Finally, we have to look at the financial collapse and the most recent events of late 2025 and early 2026. The expectation was that Kanye would always find a way to stay rich and relevant through his Yeezy brand, but the reality is that the industry has finally hit its breaking point. Per a report from January 2026, the e-commerce giant Shopify officially removed the Yeezy website from their platform. The reason for this shutdown was a direct violation of their terms of service after the site began selling a $20 white t-shirt featuring a swastika. The receipt here is the public statement from Shopify which noted that the merchant did not engage in authentic commerce practices and violated their hate speech policies. This was the final blow to a brand that was already reeling from the loss of its partnership with Adidas. The shock value of this is the speed at which the final remnants of his business empire are disappearing. What was once a multi-billion-dollar partnership is now a website being shut down for selling hate symbols. According to financial analysts, the Yeezy brand has fallen hundreds of millions of dollars into debt due to the constant legal battles and the loss of traditional retail outlets. This financial reality has forced him to sell off major assets, including his unfinished mansion in Malibu, which reportedly sold at a massive loss in late 2025. The image of the billionaire mogul has been replaced by the reality of a man fighting for his legacy in a room full of lawyers.
The summary of this entire situation is that we are witnessing the total dismantling of one of the most successful careers in music history. The reason this matters now is that the legal receipts have moved the conversation from social media gossip to a courtroom reality. The insider takeaway is that the pattern of behavior seen in the Lauren Pisciotta lawsuit, the Jane Doe lawsuit, and the Milo Yiannopoulos affidavit all point to the same thing: a total lack of guardrails around a man who was allegedly being exploited for his wealth while his health deteriorated. The reality is that the Genius label no longer protects you when there are federal and state lawsuits detailing sexual assault, drug addiction, and workplace abuse. These documents provide a roadmap for how a massive celebrity brand can be destroyed from the inside out when there is no one left to say no. The receipts are in the public record, and the industry is watching closely to see who else will be named as these cases move toward trial. As more former employees come forward with their own stories of the Yeezy workplace, the pressure on the remaining members of his circle continues to mount. If you want to understand the bigger playbook behind these celebrity meltdowns and see the timeline of how other moguls are facing their own day in court, you need to check out our Fresh Celebrity Tea playlist as the essential next step in understanding the reality of Hollywood's power structures.